Hi, it's Bumble. Welcome back to my channel. For Christmas, I got an AMC gift card, and then that led me to go to the movie theater for the first time in a while. And I invited my dad, and my dad wanted to see the Anaconda. I don't know, remake, spiritual successor, parody. I'm not really sure what Anaconda 2025 is supposed to be exactly, because it's like about a bunch of people that are trying to do a remake of this Anaconda movie, which exists for them like in universe, but it's a comedy, but it's not funny enough to be a parody, but I think it's supposed to be a parody because that one's just straight up like a comedy, and it's not even really funny, and it's like a little too silly. But like the original Anaconda, which is this one, which is actually pretty good, and what I'm going to be talking about today, is definitely not a comedy. It's like action horror, and it takes itself completely seriously. So yeah, I don't know, but I saw that in theaters, and I didn't really like it, and my dad didn't really like it either. But we knew from the existence of that movie that there was an original Anaconda, and they like reference it a bit. They even have Ice Cube and Jennifer Lopez have like cameos in that one, and we were both like, oh, okay. So we were like a little curious about the original Anaconda movie, weren't sure if we were ever gonna watch it, and then we saw it was on Netflix and it was gonna get taken off soon, and my dad was like, hey, let's just watch the original and see what it's like. I don't know what his thoughts were on that, but my thoughts were that I actually liked it. It's funny in a way. I mean, I do regret seeing the other Anaconda, and if you're trying to pick between the two, just go with this one. And I did feel like it was kind of a waste of my MC gift card. It was for like $25 too. I could have gone to see like Zootopia 2 or Avatar, but you know what? My dad picked Anaconda, and I was, gonna let him pick. I was trying to be nice. But you know what? That led to me knowing about this Anaconda, and I enjoyed this one. So in my mind, I'm going to pretend that I used that gift card for this movie. And I mean, I don't know if I would purposely go to see this movie in theaters. I wouldn't recommend that either, but I enjoyed it. So in that sort of convoluted way, I'd say it's worth it. I got my money's worth. But yeah, this one was actually good. I thought, like, I knew it was a horror movie. I thought it was going to be really dumb. I'm not saying it's like amazing or anything. It's not. It has its own kind of silliness in a sense, and the characters are also stupid in this one. It does, have like a bit of a similar plot to the other one. I feel like I can actually kind of compare them a little bit. Okay, so let me talk about the other one first. The other one is about these like amateur filmmakers and stuff, and they want to make a remake of Anaconda, and then they get kind of tricked by this woman that's looking for gold. She doesn't really have much of a character, but she's like the villain and stuff. She ends up getting eaten by the Anaconda like halfway through that movie, and then it's about the rest of the people trying to survive and kill the Anaconda, and then they kill the Anaconda and they get to go home, and that's pretty much it. It's only like 4 main characters in that one, plus their boat driver, who I think gets killed early on or something. And this one isn't really even about the snake. The villain of this movie is not the Anaconda. It's just some guy, which I find really funny. I think Jon Voight's character ends up killing more people than the actual freaking Anaconda. His character is what makes this a comedy, in a sense of that every time he's on screen, my dad and I laughed. Not that he was purposely funny. Okay, I've probably seen movies. Hold on, now I have to look. Because talking about Jon Voight is a actually very important thing for me talking about this movie. I didn't recognize him by name. let's see, hold on. There's probably at least one important thing I know him from. Hold on, let me see. I'm on the IMDb page. Oh, I've been meaning to watch Midnight Cowboy, but I guess he's in that. Oh, I don't recognize any of these movies. Okay. Oh wait, no, these are like recent ones. Hold on, give me a minute. Okay, I'm actually planning to watch Four Christmases soon, so... Oh! He's the dad from National Treasure. Or... Wait. Yeah, he's the dad from National Treasure. I like National Treasure. Okay, that's probably the only thing I'd know him from. Oh, apparently he's also in Zoolander. I was like just watching that and in Tomb... Okay, I'm noticing it's really funny that most of the stuff he's in I've never heard of, but there's a couple as I'm scrolling of like Zoolander or Tomb Raider or like National Treasure that I've seen those movies, and I'm like, I don't remember him in them, even though he was like important characters. He played like Laura Croft's dad in one of those, and himself in Seinfeld. Okay, anyway, but yeah, he's in this movie. What I'm trying to say is I don't remember what he looks like in other movies, despite that I've seen like 5 of them on his IMDb page. The reason we laughed at him so much wasn't anything to do with like what he was saying or that his character was comedic, because he was a little bit. He makes these faces that are just so freaking goofy. We kept laughing at them. I don't know what's up with the dude's mouth. Okay, I usually try not to make fun of real people, but it's like in the context of the movie or whatever. I don't know. Maybe because he's trying to play the villain. I want to know what the director told him to do with his face in this movie most of the time, especially when the camera's just kind of lingering on him. It's like his mouth is like permanently in like a frown or something, but not in like a I'm upset way. It's just like that, and it's not even like scowling. I don't know what to call it. He just makes these faces that where his mouth's like half open that just look really goofy. It's probably supposed to be like kind of intimidating or smug, because he's very like, his character's very smug and self-confident, but it just looks really dumb. And it's like what is he? Hold on, I have to see. He's American. Okay, he has like this accent in the movie that's just really bad. It's really bad. That's also adds to the comedy of it. His character's like one of the only comedic things in this movie, by the way. He's just the most important thing I have to talk about with it. But yeah, he has like an accent the entire movie that just sounds like really bad, because he's supposed to be this guy who like, because it takes place in the Amazon and like Brazil and stuff, and he's this like professional snake catcher character that knows everything about the snakes there and the rivers and the people that live there and stuff. So I guess this character is supposed to be like sound like he's from Brazil or something, but the accent's really bad. It just comes off as goofy. And a lot of the lines he says and like the way he says the lines are also really weird. I don't know how to describe it, but it's just the combination of all that. My dad and I were just laughing a lot, like almost every time he was on screen. So yeah, there's that. What else? So, alright, I need to describe the plot of this movie. It's basically these people, they're trying to make a documentary on this, like, specific tribe. I think they're called, like, the People of the Mist or something. And they're going to try to find them, even though which is also kind of weird to me, because it's like, it's very obvious these people, that live in the Amazon don't want to be found, and now this documentary crew is showing up trying to find them. But whatever. So they're trying to find them, and they come across this guy, which, oh wait, no, I need to explain who all the characters are first and talk about the characters. and I'm also starting incorrectly. Danny Trejo's in this movie. He's in this movie for like 5 minutes though, where he, I think, thinks the snake is approaching the anaconda, and he shoots himself and doesn't get killed by the anaconda. We don't even get to see it, and that's it. And then it goes to the characters, because I saw him in the opening credits. I was curious if this was like his first movie or something. I can Google that myself. This is a rhetorical question, because he's only in the he's like the first character you see on screen, but he's only in the movie for like 5 minutes, and you get to see him in a photo. It's him, this guy named Mateo, who's like the captain of the boat that the main characters have, and the villain, and they all used to like catch snakes together or something. But you don't actually learn anything about Danny Trejo's character, to the point where in the credits he's literally just referred to as like Poacher or something. He's not even given a name. So that was kind of a weird thing for me at the beginning. So you have this documentary crew. The real main characters of this movie are actually Jennifer Lopez and Ice Cube's characters. I think their characters' names are... why is there an ad in the middle of this page? I'm on the horror film wiki or whatever. Yeah, I'm on the horror film wiki of all places. That's where I got the picture from. But it helps me because there's a casting. Yeah, their characters' names are Terry and Danny. Okay. But yeah, they're the two main characters. I didn't think they were going to be the main characters. You know, now that actually makes sense with them being the two main characters, because they're the only ones that cameo in the other movie. And I just assumed they were probably the most like well-known people that were in this movie, but I don't know. But yeah, they're the two main characters. The actual guy that's like in charge of their expedition and stuff is really funny to me. He's like this professor guy who I think is dating Terry or something, and his character is funny to me in that I just assumed he was going to be the main character because he seems like the main character. But yeah, he and his group end up picking up Jon Voight's character because he's like crashed somewhere, and then you don't get to learn about it till later, but I just kind of assumed that Jon Voight his character starts sabotaging stuff, where the professor guy who's, you know, leading the whole documentary crew, he kind of he doesn't suspect anything with the villain, but it's like the villain's trying to manipulate things from the start of where to go, and the professor basically has him in check, and the villain's like, okay, I gotta do something about that. So he sabotages something where someone's forced to go underwater, and the professor volunteers, and the villain puts a wasp in his snorkel thing that basically puts him in a coma. And the reason the professor's funny to me is that the villain takes over at that point and basically holds everyone like hostage on the boat and forces them to help him find the titular anaconda and stuff so he can like sell it and make money. But yeah, the professor guy is in a coma from that point onwards. He does almost die. To be fair, they have to like poke a hole in his neck for him to be able to breathe, and he's in a coma the rest of the movie. He comes out of the coma for like one scene where I don't even know how he has that much coordination or what to do what he does, where like she's about to be attacked by the villain, and the professor saves her by I think hitting the villain in the head, and then he just passes out again, and then he's passed out until the very end of the movie, and by that point the villain has been defeated and the snake has been killed. So this professor guy missed out on literally everything. He doesn't get to see the snake. By the time he wakes up, he gets to see the people of the mist that he was looking for, and at that point I'm thinking like, So I guess in the sense it did work out for the documentary crew. Even though the villain was lying to them and was trying to get them into snake territory, he did technically get them to like the hidden group of people they were trying to find to view and get the footage, and they do get the footage, and that's it. Except, there's only like 3 survivors of Terry and Danny and the professor guy, and that's, I think his name's like Dr. Kale or something, and that's it. So like all their crew died, but they did get their footage. Was it worth it? No. But yeah, he gets to see the thing he wants in the end. But he doesn't have to deal with the snakes. He's in a coma, so he might as well not be a character at all, to the point where like the 2 things I guess he does is that he, briefly stops the villain and prevents his like girlfriend from getting killed, and then he just, ends up unconscious again. And he's the reason they're there in the first place, because he's the one that wanted to make this film and hired everyone, where I think Terry is like the director and Danny is the cameraman, because you see him with the camera every once in a while, but not often enough of like trying to get footage of cool stuff. They miss out on a lot of cool times to get footage, honestly, when they're like not in danger. But anyway, yeah, so the professor freaking lucks out, but he might as well basically not be a character at all, because he's in a coma for like literally the entire movie. But it's funny, it's like the movie sets him up as the main character, and then he gets put in a coma, and that's it. But yeah, Terry is, Jennifer, I keep wanting to say Jennifer Lawrence for some reason. No, Jennifer Lopez's character Terry is the main character. It's her and Ice Cube's character Danny, and I think the only characters, there's like 3 characters I actually felt sorry for, which is Danny and the actual Anaconda itself, and there's this one other character who's like the production manager or something. I don't even remember her name, actually. So I don't even know how to find her on here, because I don't know which character she is, but it's this woman who's Owen Wilson is in this movie. He plays this sound guy character that ends up getting killed off, and his girlfriend, the production manager, is mourning him the rest of the movie, and then she ends up getting killed by the villain. She tries to kill him, but it's when no one else is on the ship. She brings a knife, but she's not, she doesn't have the willpower to actually kill him fast enough, so he ends up strangling her to death while he's tied up too, with his thighs, and it kills her. And he does it really freaking easily. He's the villain is an older guy. He's not super buff or anything, but he's physically very easily able to kill people in this movie. But I'm assuming it's only because he has the willpower and intelligence to kill people. He goes for the kill and stuff, kind of the same way the snake does in a sense. And the other characters are kind of too soft. I feel bad for Ice Cube's character Danny though, because he can tell after the professor guy puts in a coma of okay, this random guy that we picked up, the guy that turns out to be the villain, is pretty sus, and he keeps trying to warn Terry about it, and she's not really listening or whatever. She's no, what choice do we have? And he eventually does try to kill the villain, but the knife conveniently gets knocked out of his hand or whatever. They do end up knocking him out, but they just tie him up instead of they keep putting the villain in situations where he's able to just get away or get out easily. Even when he's tied up, they don't have anyone keeping an eye on him. So then then when they do try to kill him, they're not really able to. He does eventually get killed by the snake, which is pretty satisfying, but it's kind of frustrating in that this human villain is more of an actual threat than the snake is, and the main characters just keep failing to kill him and not taking him seriously throughout the entire movie until it's even when it's past the point when it's too late, when he has them hostage and stuff, and it just feels very silly. And I'm saying not just because of he kills more people in the snake than he's the villain. The snake ends up getting or the characters at least think that they killed it off or whatever. I think there's also like a second anaconda. I was kind of confused about how many anacondas there were in this movie. Because it seems like for most of it, they're just fighting one and that they kill it, but then a second one shows up or something. It might be the same one. But yeah, the human villain is still involved at that point, and the anaconda is only directly like chasing the main characters and stuff, only really at the end. I mean, it does kill people throughout the movie, but it's like only like 2, and that's it. It's really not much of a threat. It's mostly just the human villain because he's the one with the most screen time and is manipulating people. He manipulates Owen Wilson's character, and he like tries to kill the main characters and holds them hostage with like a gun and stuff. So he's like the actual villain, but I just find that funny for like a horror movie that's about a killer snake that I feel like should have been really easy because the characters are already trapped in a boat. I feel like it could have been more suspenseful. I feel like, like a 40-foot snake or whatever was already threatening enough. I mean, the human villain is also interesting in that, like, he's manipulating them and you don't really know the characters don't know he's the villain at first and stuff, but I feel like eventually, like, he should have been killed off, and then it should have been the snake that was killing people. In that sense, and I can't believe I'm saying this, it should have gone the route of, like, the Anaconda 2025 one or whatever, of, like, not have the human be the main threat for, like, the entire movie, because, we're all here to see the Anaconda do stuff. Differences between the snakes... I like that the one here looks like an actual snake. It bothered me in the remake or whatever that it was like, I mean, they're both CGI and stuff, but, or I'm assuming the one here is, it's like the way it moved too fast. It had to be, but the one in the remake or whatever just feels ridiculous, where it feels way larger than it should be. And it also has these really weird, unrealistic, like, fangs, like, or not fangs, but even just like has like a bajillion teeth out of nowhere at one point, where it just feels like it's like a made up monster rather than like, an anaconda is already threatening, but here it's just like a normal, if really long snake. I felt bad for the anaconda in this one. I want to explain about that, because it's just living its life killing people that because it does try to attack the boat at one point, but it only seems to specifically go for people in the water. That's about it. And later you find out where it lives, and it has these babies, and it regurgitates the villain's corpse. So I think it's just that it's like trying to find food to feed its babies. It's just, I mean, it is trying to kill all the characters, but it's like mostly just the ones that fall into the water, or if they're in front of them. Actually, no, there's one point when it tries to kill Terry and she like is running away further into the boat, and it like goes after her. But that's about it. And the humans are like trying to catch the snake anyway. It's got to like defend itself and stuff. And then they set it on fire later in the movie. And it still, like, tries to go after them and everything, and then they, like, I think drive a pickaxe through its head or something. But yeah, I just felt bad for it. I always feel bad with these kind of movies where it's, like, the main villain is, like, some kind of animal. I mean, yeah, it's, like, a super huge animal, and it is trying to kill them, and I get it in the sense if it was, like, kill or be killed situation, which, I mean, it partially is, but, like, they're purposely going in, like, trying to capture this thing. They're shining lights in to lure it. They're shining lights in its eyes and using nets and stuff and all that. And it's only really killing the people that are going in the water and stuff, where it's, like, easy prey or whatever. Or if it's, like, in your line of sight and you move, like, it's just an animal doing its thing. It doesn't have, like, human intelligence. It's not, like, purposely targeting, like, only these people. It would get, like, anyone, and they're purposely, like, going out of their way to, like, kill it or whatever. It just made me feel bad for the snake. But I thought it looked cool. I liked that it was, like, just a normal anaconda. It wasn't anything too crazy. Let me think. What else? But yeah, I can't really think of anything else. I liked the ending of it actually, because like I said, the human villain is the villain for most of the movie. He was actually a pretty good movie. You do want to like punch him and stuff. So that's like mostly their threat. I did like when the snake does get to kill them, when you get to see its perspective when it's like coming out of the water and the way it like wraps around them and it squeezes them. And I mean, the effects like look pretty silly because it does it so fast, and you can tell it's obviously like it doesn't look real, but you know, this is also a movie from 1997, so I'm not going to give it that. I do think it is a little silly. I don't know if it's realistic though, of like you see someone's eye, or like a wolf, like its eye pops out. You don't like literally get to see it, but you see the eye on the ground of like the snake squeezes it so hard. Or no, I think it's a jaguar actually, that its eye popped out. But you know, I'll take that over the pissing scene in the remake any day. But yeah, the movie does take itself seriously. I do like the ending when Terry and Danny have to work together and they're like actually trying to trap the anaconda so that they can kill it, and they're in this like abandoned building or whatever, and the snake is chasing Terry around and stuff. That was actually cool. That actually felt suspenseful. And you know what? The dialogue was kind of silly, but I liked the characters. I actually was getting upset when some of the main ones were like almost going to be killed or some. Like there's a part where Danny's almost killed by the anaconda. He's like in the water or something, and Terry has to make the choice of like, does she try to save him and shoot the snake, or I think there's something else that's going on in the same scene, and she ends up shooting the anaconda, and that's when the characters think it's dead, but it's not. And I actually was like, oh shoot, they got Danny or whatever. Like I didn't want him to get killed because I liked Ice Cube's character. I didn't think the professor character deserved to survive though, because he basically, you know, he was in a coma the whole time, so he didn't have to deal with anything with the snake. Not saying like he should have just died only for that, but, and it's not like he was unlikable or anything either, but I'm just like, man, dude lucked out so hard that he basically wasn't a character in the movie. What else? I thought it was funny, there's this one British guy that's part of their group. I don't remember what his role in the documentary crew is exactly, but he ends up playing golf a couple times on their boat. Like he sets up like a not miniature golf, but like a little golf thing and stuff. He was kind of funny. I thought Owen Wilson's character was going to be in the movie more. I did like that at least someone in the crew decides to join the villain, and that like, hey, we can make like $1 million or whatever if we catch and sell the snake. But he gets like killed off almost immediately after that, so he's like not really in the movie much either. Yeah, sorry, I thought I would have more things to say about this. I think it's also because I just recorded another movie review like right before this. It was like 40 minutes, so I'm like not as focused. Hold on, I'm gonna look at the plot description to see if I forgot anything I wanted to talk about. You know, the way the villain talks about the snake is kind of interesting. I always like the kind of villains like that where it's like they are, whether they're like human or not, they're like, they don't value human life, but then there's some kind of creature, whether it's like a snake or a whatever, that they view as like the way that's like going around killing people, and they're like in awe of it, of like, whoa, this like perfect killing machine, and they're like excited about it and think it's really cool even though it's going around killing people. And they're also the villain in like the way they're like manipulating people and stuff, and trying to like appease this creature, not almost in a way like they worship it in a sense. That's how the villain is kind of towards the anaconda in this, even though he's like trying to capture it and stuff. I always just find that interesting with like those kind of villains. Sorry, it's like hard for me to read this plot thing because there's a stupid ad that's like right in the middle of this page, and there's nowhere for me to click off of it, and it's like a appearing as I'm scrolling, so it's making it really hard to read. Oh, okay, it is two anacondas. So they shoot the first one, and the second one is a larger female anaconda, because that's the one that's like it's trying to take care of its like babies and stuff. Oh yeah, there's sometimes with the anaconda, I don't know if snakes, I don't know if they have vocal cords or if they can make noise or anything besides like the sound they make with their tongue, but the anaconda like full on screams in this movie whenever it's in pain, and it like made me feel more bad for it. Okay, I think that's about it. Yeah, I thought I'd have more. Sorry. I feel almost bad because I liked the movie and I was excited about it originally. Not that I liked the movie. I don't know if I could recommend it. I'd say if you want to watch like I don't know what the budget is, but it's felt kind of the vibe of like a lower budget like horror movie. If you just want to watch one where it's like a snake is going around killing people and stuff, and with some like pretty well-known actors, this one's at least fun. I feel like it would be like a fun movie to watch with like friends or something. All right, thanks for listening. Bye.